First, a court in Genoa today has sentenced the former CEO of an Italian highway operator to 12 years in jail for his role in the collapse of a bridge in 2018 that killed 43 people and sent shockwaves across Italy. Giovanni Castellucci found guilty today then of negligence and of homicide, prosecutors arguing he had failed to oversee necessary maintenance of that bridge. Well, let's go live to Rome on the programme. Seema Gupta is with me. Seema, look, tell us a little bit more then about this verdict, because Castellucci was not the only person who was on trial.
Yes, exactly. I mean, there were some 57 people that were on trial here on charges ranging from things like manslaughter to falsifying documents. And while he got 12 years for his role in this deadly bridge collapse, the prosecutors had actually called for 18 years and 6 months for his part in this tragedy. He was the former CEO of the motorway operator Autostrade per Italia. That's what it's called. Now, another person from the same company who was in charge of maintenance was sentenced to 11 years, and Castellucci's number 2 to 5 years and 6 months. So lots of sentences being read out today in that packed court in Genoa. And this was one of the deadliest disasters in Italy, and it's now almost 8 years after the accident actually happened. And not the accident, but the collapse of this Morandi bridge in which 43 people were killed. And, you know, this bridge, it was 50 meters a section of this entire highway, which actually links France and Italy. And 50 meters of it when plunging into the riverbed and warehouses below when it happened on August 14th of 2018. And that was because there was a lot of torrential rain. And it happened the day before a major summer holiday here in Italy as well. So some 30 or so cars were on that section of the bridge when it collapsed. And so unfortunately, as you mentioned, 43 people were killed. The prosecution, for their part, seemed to have really pushed their case forward, that this was an issue of negligence, that the maintenance that was necessary was not done. The defense side was basically arguing that it wasn't about that. It was about a design flaw in the bridge to begin with. This bridge that was built in 1967 had some maintenance work done back in the 1990s, but very little since. Now, we've heard from some of the victims' families. Some say this conviction won't bring their family members back. We definitely understand that and feel their loss, but they wanted the truth to come out. And Italy's Deputy Transport Secretary said that this was an important step on the path towards truth and justice. He said this was not a fatal accident. It was about serious errors that happened and omissions to the work that really was necessary on the part of these companies.
Well, I suppose that is the question now then, Seema. Will families believe that justice has finally been done? Because I've been reading that actually many of them up until today had felt the pace of justice was simply too slow.
Absolutely. I mean, it really, this case, I think, highlights very clearly the slow pace of justice here in Italy. And while they may welcome this verdict today, it's really only the first verdict. It still has to go. It will probably be appealed. Lawyers for Castellucci have already said that they plan to challenge this verdict, and it still has 2 levels of appeal before, of course, the final decision from the Supreme Court. It's also important to mention that Autostrade per Italia and another company, Spea, which is really the engineering company in charge of maintenance, had already reached an out-of-court settlement with the public prosecutors for some 29 million euros. But of course, this was a criminal trial. This was about finding out who was responsible and why this could happen. And aside from the slow pace of justice, I think this also highlights the aging infrastructure here in Italy. Lots of bridges and big projects were built back in the 1960s and 1970s, and many want to ensure that maintenance is carried out and we don't see a repeat of this terrible tragedy. The bridge in Genoa itself was torn down, and the mega architect Renzo Piano, the Italian architect who hails from Genoa, he waived his fee and put in his design, and that's his bridge now that has been built over this key link that is necessary in the highway. And you have that right now in Genoa, but of course for the families it's bittersweet to look at, and of course for a lot of them quite difficult to hear the results of this conviction. As I said, that court in Genoa was packed today with the victims' families.